Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Konrad Gorliński, and this is the news. While the political quarrel over the alleged Pegasus wiretap affair is continuing, the opposition claims that the government has used the Israeli spyware Pegasus to listen in on their political opponents. The government denies to have engaged in any illegal activities, but states that the previous government had a wide record of wiretapping journalists that it considered dangerous to its grip on power. The Deputy Minister of Interior, Maciej Wąsik, has stated that former Prime Minister Donald Tusk is lying when denying that journalists were wiretapped during his government. An audit carried out in the ministry in 2015 indicated that 48 journalists had been monitored by the Internal Security Agency, the ABW. This list included famous journalists such as Cezary Gmys, Piotr Nisztor, Robert Mazurek, and Sylwester Latkowski. Donald Tusk should probably not comment on this subject because of a number of actions that took place, especially on the part of the security services, still led by him at the time, by former employees of the communist services. Bronisław Wilcztin, a publicist, pointed out that during Tusk's government, there were attempts to dominate the media market in Poland. Critical voices, such as Rzeczpospolita Daily, were silenced by political pressure, leading to its editor-in-chief being replaced with someone more pro-government. Last week, the Associated Press news agency, citing information from Canada's Citizen Lab, reported that Civic Platform MP Krzysztof Brejza's phone was allegedly hacked 33 times before the parliamentary elections. At the time, the senator served as the Civic Coalition's campaign head. Each use of operational control methods is obtained through the consent required by law, including the key consent of the court. Polish services operate in accordance with the law. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki said at yesterday's press conference that he has no knowledge of eavesdropping on politicians or other public figures. He added that the relevant authorities will clarify the issue. While the Poles are doing better every day in the struggle against illegal migration, with 0 recorded attempts to illegally enter the country in the past 24 hours, the situation is worsening in the Mediterranean. The number of new migrant arrivals making it across the sea in dinghies and yachts is now again reaching numbers in the thousands per week. German NGO ship Sea-Watch 3, carrying 444 migrants, was waiting to be assigned a port of safety on Tuesday after 5 operations carried out in the Mediterranean Sea. On Christmas Day, the ship's crew members picked up 257 migrants from overcrowded wooden boats in the area of operation in international waters off the Libyan coast. In the early morning of Christmas Eve, the activists on board the German vessel picked up 93 people, including numerous alleged unaccompanied minors from a double-decker wooden boat in international waters just south of the Italian island of Lampedusa. Last week alone, at least 160 people drowned in the central Mediterranean while attempting to cross into Europe, according to the International Organization for Migration. Some 66,482 migrants have disembarked in Italy this year, according to Interior Ministry data, up from 34,134 in the same period in 2020. There's an increasing number of voices shining light on the growing problem of low birth rates in large parts of the Western world. U.S.-based tech entrepreneur and the world's richest man, Elon Musk, recently stated that it is one of the most pressing problems of our time. Now, Pope Francis has emphasized that something must be done about how society perceives the formation of families. Speaking in front of a group of faithful, the Pope bemoaned Italy's plunging birth rate, warning that the decline represented a threat to the future of the country. Births in Italy last year hit their lowest level since the unification of the nation in 1861, with the figure falling for a 12th consecutive year.
Mi viene una preoccupazione.
I have a concern. The demographic winter is a real worry, at least here in Italy. It seems that a lot of people have lost the wish to have children. Lots of couples prefer to remain childless or have one child only. Think about this. It's a tragedy. A few minutes ago, I saw on the TV program In His Image how they were talking about this serious problem, the demographic winter. Let's do everything we can to regain a conscience to overcome this demographic winter, which runs counter to our families, our country, and our future. There were 404,000 births in Italy last year, down by more than 15,000 from 2019. There were 746,000 deaths in 2020, however, and so the population fell to 59.3 million. Authorities say the slump in births had continued this year, adding that the COVID-19 pandemic appeared to be a factor in the decline. Finally, the recent drop in temperatures has made it possible for us in Poland to observe a spectacular natural phenomenon called Shuga ice formations. The ice formations floating down the country's rivers most frequently appear in the eastern parts of the country, but can now be seen in rivers all across the nation, including the Vistula. The ice flows are a common enough phenomenon, but they are occurring less frequently, which is an indication of climate change, warned a hydrologist at the Polish National Institute of Meteorology and Water Management.
Śryż to jest taki lód o strukturze gąbczastej.
Shuga is a spiky form of ice. It's very glue-like. One can't believe how easily it sticks to literally everything. For Shuga to appear, the river water has to freeze. The water temperature has to be below 0 degrees Celsius, and here is a fun fact. This water can have a negative value. So the water temperature can be minus 1 degree Celsius. I know it sounds strange because we learned at school that water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, but certain movements within the water allow it to be liquid at minus 1 degree Celsius.
Powodują, że taka woda może mieć temperaturę ujemną.
GRZEGORZ WALIJEWSKI explained Shuga ice acts like glue and water temperatures drop below 0 in water, which can still remain liquid under certain conditions.
I w takiej przemrożonej wodzie,
in such freezing water, we observe core condensation, like grains of sand. The water freezes into a grain and the Shuga structure begins to grow. The frozen grains stick to each other, and as ice has lower density than water, it rises to the surface. Then the frozen particles stick together and eventually rise to the surface of the river, where they form huge rafts of ice. Shuga ice first appears in the freezing mountainous regions of eastern Poland and can also form in the Odra River, which partly marks the western border with Germany.
Ilość zjawisk lodowych.
The amount of ice occurrences at our hydrologic stations has decreased. There is not much of it floating around. It's simply another proof of the fact that we're dealing with a change in climate. Beautiful as they are, the flows can nevertheless damage river structures like bridges and even block the current. As usual, thanks for tuning in this evening. I hope you stick around for Poland Daily Weather, Poland Daily Business, and other programs. But from me, it's have a wonderful evening.